am going to go ahead and whoops. I am going to go ahead now and introduce our guest speaker, Mr. Gary Newton. And those of you who don't know Gary, I'm going to read from the district website a little bit about Gary. He is, of course, the district chair for MESA, Medical Equipment and Supplies Abroad, that we help support along with all the other clubs in District 6600. He has served as an assistant district governor, been chief of staff for the district governor elect and district governor, and 3 district committees. He is a former CPA, a graduate of Wright State University in Dayton, and his lovely wife is a certified nurse midwife. And Lima Memorial Hospital, that's Debbie Newton. And we have had the pleasure of hearing Gary speak a couple times at the conferences, and I've been looking forward to this since we invited him. So I am going to say, Gary, would you please take it away and tell us about MESA.
Okay, thank you, Steve, and thank all of you for inviting me to share about Mesa with you. And I have a confession to make. I'm going to try to do something tonight that I've never done before. I've been in probably 200 or 300 Zoom meetings, and I have never shared my screen before. So I was really admiring, Steve, how great you did on that. But I've never done that, so I'm going to try that tonight. Not once, but twice. So if this works, nobody will be more surprised than I am. Uh, so 2 things I want to do. One is show a short video. It's about 3.5 minutes long. It's on our website. It was developed about a year ago by a company in New Bremen. And um, unfortunately, I am kind of the star of that video. So you'll have to put up with me even doing the video. But and then also I have a brief PowerPoint, which I will make even briefer because the video covers a lot of what would be covered in the PowerPoint. So I'll go ahead now and try to start that video. Let's see if this
Share the
works.
screen first.
Okay, let's see. Uh,
Move your cursor and you'll see a green dot down at the bottom. It says share.
yeah, I got that. Oh, sure. Okay.
There you go.
Well, it's not quite what I
Okay,
wanted to share.
now navigate to where your video is.
Okay. Let's try that. All right. I
Now,
gotta move you guys out of the way here. I'll get you up there. And I'm gonna try to get down here just a little bit more. Okay, I think we're ready to go. I am Gary Newton, the chair of MESA Medical Equipment and Supplies Abroad. I'm a member of the St. Mary's Rotary Club. MESA is a nonprofit organization collecting medical equipment and supplies from hospitals, nursing homes, doctors, and dentists, and shipping those really around the world, as the name implies, medical equipment and supplies abroad. MESA was started in 1981, so we're over 40 years old. And it was originally started with a request from a district governor in Pakistan. And there was no organization at that point to handle that request. So MESA was formed. We began collecting medical equipment and supplies. There's a lot of areas around the world that could really continue to use that equipment. There was nothing wrong with it. And so we formed this organization to collect that equipment and to ship it overseas. The process starts with a call from a hospital or nursing home and asking us if we would like whatever items they have and if we can pick those up, or in some cases they bring them to our warehouse. Then we get calls from organizations overseas, match their needs with what's in our warehouse. And when we can fulfill most of those needs, then we can prepare a shipment. We only ship in 40-foot containers, so we have to build that shipment over time. We're typically building 2 to 3 shipments at a time. We made 32 shipments last year. We made shipments to the Grenadines, St. Vincent, Panama, Mexico, Lebanon, and several shipments to the Ukraine. I think some of the most impactful stories came out of the Ukraine. You know, a lot of our shipments went to the front line. Things as simple as gloves. There were stories on the front lines of Ukraine where they were washing supposedly sterile gloves, then reusing them. We send surgical trays, surgical equipment, gloves, surgical tables, all those things that they use. So we could set up a whole field hospital with the things that they send. And they were just thrilled to get those and send videos and pictures back of our equipment actually in use. And it was used instantly when it got there. Sometimes you hear about a story of a conflict like what's going on in the Ukraine, and you think, what can we do? We cannot have any impact on this. And through MESA, we really can have an impact. And we've sent over 20 shipments to the Ukraine last year. 100% certain that we're saving lives there. That without our equipment, without our supplies, lives would be lost that wouldn't need to be lost. We're constantly trying to improve the organizations. We're trying to make it sustainable to do more shipments in the future. We would also like to expand our area of getting the supplies and equipment. When we ship things to these poor areas in great need, it's 100% upgrade. They're replacing a mat on the floor with a hospital bed. They're replacing a chair with an exam table. You know, it's just a tremendous upgrade for them. So very, very small changes here result in very large changes around the world. So I think when you realize the most important things in your life are perhaps those service activities that you've done. You know, we focus a lot on our careers, and but you know, I think in the end that old adage that you know, when nobody on their deathbed ever says, I wished I would have put in a few more hours at my job. You know, it's always in service or with your family or things. So there are, I think, things to get in proper perspective. You know, service should be a part of everyone's life. If you want to get involved with MESA, if you want to contribute equipment or supplies, or if you want to get involved as a volunteer, or if you want to contribute funds to MESA, you can go to our website, rotarymesa.org, and you can find all the contact information and more on the MESA story at that website.
Well, I hope everybody saw that. I hope that screen share worked. That was just a video we came up with as an introduction, and we actually used that in presentations to clubs, and it's on our website. It's on the front page of our website because we felt that was a real good introduction. People that may not want to read through all the pages on the website would maybe view that video, and that would help explain what we're doing. And now I would like to try to share my screen again, and I'll go through a short PowerPoint just to tell you more about MESA. And here we are. And so, well, what is MESA? By now, you should know that MESA stands for actually Medical Equipment and Supplies Abroad Foundation, Inc. So you can see why we like to say MESA instead of that mouthful. As I mentioned, we were founded in 1981. We are a separate 501c3 nonprofit corporation. We're not really part of District 6600. Although we're certainly supported by District 6600, we are the international service project of that district. So if you're a Rotarian in District 6600, you're automatically a member. So every member of the Pathways Club is also a MESA member. Our board of directors shifts each year with the officers of Rotary District 6600, but there you see the trustees for 24 25. They include our district governor, past district governor-elect, international service chair, and then our MESA officers, treasurer, secretary, myself as the chair. And I've included Scott Salyers, our operations director, although he's not officially a member, not officially a trustee. He's certainly a very important person to us. So what does MESA actually do? Well, as that video mentioned, we collect medical equipment and supplies and ship them all over the globe. Another important part of MESA, kind of a sub of MESA, is Resource Centers International, or RCI. They deal more in educational products. They deal in computers, books, anything that would go in a school or an early learning center. Mel Honing from the Sylvania Club uh, really operates that. He was actually supposed to be in Belize today, um, but we had problems shipping a container down there. It got left off the boat the first time. We shipped it in actually January. Got left off the boat the first time and got left off of a second boat and finally got on a boat. And it should have arrived, I believe, today in Belize. So Mel is going down at the end of March. He had originally planned to be there today, as I mentioned, but he can't do much without. What he does is he collects basically a lot of computers. Mel has collected hundreds of computers, and they clean those computers up and load them with educational software. He operates in Belize primarily because Belize is an English language speaking country. So you can load all this software, get all the books and everything, of course, is in English, and they can use that in Belize. So hopefully Mel will be able to set up some things. He goes down once or twice a year, and hopefully he'll be down there by the end of the month. Here's a map of some of the countries we've sent shipments to. We've shipped to 5 continents, haven't shipped anything to Antarctica yet, and haven't shipped anything to Australia. But every place else we have shipped things to. So, and I use this example and mentioned this in the video. This is our 22-23 MESA shipments. And that was, I show you that because that was a record year for us. We made 32 shipments that year, and those are 40-foot containers, each one of those shipments. So there you can see where they went to. We could not have done that without extraordinary partners helping us with Ukraine shipments. I think I might be correct in saying we did not pay for any of the shipments to Ukraine. We had partners that paid for all those shipments. That's getting a little bit more difficult to do because, of course, all those organizations that we're paying are nonprofit organizations, and a lot of them are now running out of funds. So we're finding it. We didn't really have to hunt much to find partners in 22-23 to pay for shipments. Now we have to hunt a little bit, and it gets a little harder. So, but that was 22-23. Then in 23-24, our last Rotary year, actually, we made 18 shipments. Again, Ukraine, Panama, Lebanon, Mexico, Belize. So over the last couple of years, we've made 50 shipments. MESA used to make 7 or 8 shipments a year. So we wanted to see how far we could push that, and so we've figured out we can push it pretty far. So the MESA process, as we mentioned in that video, a Rotary Club normally contacts MESA. In the case of Ukraine, it was sometimes other organizations just because there was such a need and Rotary clubs were not functioning in all those areas. So we did deal some with other nonprofit organizations there. So we get a detailed list from them. I mean, it can be 5 typewritten pages, and it'll say model numbers and everything that they're actually looking for. It's not just, hey, we want some beds and crutches. It's a detailed list of everything. It says there we only work Rotary, and that's generally true. Um, so we have a 23,000 square foot warehouse in Fostoria, which we purchased a few years back. And that's where all of our shipments, that's where all the items that we collect come into, and that's where all the items go out of. There you see a picture of our loading dock. It's actually loading a container right there. So we try to palletize everything, have it all staged in this area right next to that loading dock, and then we load things by forklift. We have 2 hours from the time the truck gets there until they start charging us. So we try to load that truck in 2 hours, and it normally takes about 2 hours to load that. So um, then the container is shipped to a U.S. port, and that's generally by truck and then train, and then it goes on a ship. Annual shipping costs have ranged $30,000 to $50,000. That was when we were making 8 to 10 shipments a year. Obviously, we could have not have made 32 shipments. That would have been just the shipping costs would have been twice our annual budget. So we were lucky to have partners for a lot of that. Costs right now, shipping costs vary quite a bit. They're averaging around $7,000 to $8,000 primarily now. They have gone as high as 14,000 in recent years, and have been as low as 5,000, but we don't see many of those anymore. So once the shipment arrives at the port, then it's the responsibility of the Rotary Club. This is a shipment that actually went to Ukraine through Poland. And they pick up everything, break it all down, distribute it. And we followed one shipment through Ukraine to 5 different places. We had one of our partners over there in Ukraine, and he actually got photos of our stuff going to five different places from one shipment. It was great to see it all, and it was all in use instantly there. So we've completed this probably closer to 300 times now, but there you see the process. So how can Pathways Rotarians get involved? Well, we have 3 basic ways you can help secure donations. We rely on Rotarians around the district we don't know if a hospital is closing a wing, and I mean, this happens and we get truckloads of things out of that wing, but we would not know about that if a Rotarian didn't tell us that that was happening, or a doctor retires, wants to close up his practice and get rid of all of his office equipment. We would not know about that unless a local Rotarian told us. So you can help us in that way. You can also volunteer at the warehouse. That's a little more difficult than it sounds. We basically need small groups of maybe 5 people. Um, and you'd have to arrange that with Scott, because he really runs the warehouse, and he's out a lot of times picking up items, so he's not there. So we would want to make sure that he's there at the time. A lot of people want to volunteer to help load shipments, and that's really very hard to do because of the trucking schedules. We typically, I would say, this is the usual pattern. The trucking company gives us a time when they're going to make the pickup, and then they cancel it 3 times. And then the truck arrives sometimes unannounced. So it's very hard to schedule people to, if I told you, well, we're going to be making a shipment on Wednesday at 2 o'clock, it probably wouldn't happen. It would probably get canceled. So, and of course, we need financial support to pay for our warehouse, pay for our one employee, and to pay for our trucks, the fuel, all those things that any business has. Donations, you can donate medical equipment, supplies, educational items, as I mentioned, for RCI. You can promote MESA to your local hospitals, physicians, dentists, nursing homes, or some clubs just have a day where people kind of bring in anything they've got, any medical supplies. Here's a list of some of the things that we ship, but basically anything. I know our present district governor went to Mexico and saw a clinic there where all the items came from Mesa. And I think that clinic started with bare walls, a bare room, and everything, the desk, the chairs, the file cabinets, everything came from Mesa, and all the medical equipment, of course, the beds, the exam tables, everything, IV pulls, everything. And if you think, well, who's going to want this like crank type hospital beds? I don't know if any hospital in our area would use crank type hospital beds. We all like the ones with the little buttons, but in a lot of places these are shipped to. There isn't a reliable supply of electricity, so crank type beds are fine with those in those areas. So just about anything, with a few exceptions. The equipment has to be in working order. If we can't get it in working order here, they probably are not going to get it in working order there when we ship it to them. Um, and we used to accept expired supplies. A lot of our people on the receiving end have gotten a little tougher on that. Everything in the medical field has an expiration date. A tongue depressor will have an expiration date on the box. And we ran into a problem one shipment with some expired items. I said, well, could you send me pictures? They sent me a picture of a medical surgical tray, shrink wrapped, a medical surgical tray, shrink wrapped, and it had an expiration date on it that it had expired. And I was like, wow, I think that's probably still good. But that's some of the problems that we've run into. So we do now try to watch those expiration dates. We would like to include any manuals with donated equipment. We can't tell you the amount for tax purposes of your donation because we have no way of determining what that used medical equipment is worth. You can deliver items to the warehouse or we can pick them up. And we don't take any liquids or perishable items or medications. We cannot control the environment in those containers as they're on ship. Temperatures could reach over 100 degrees or they could be freezing. And so we don't want to put any liquids or medicines or, anything in there. So I talked about volunteering. We need a crew of, 3 to 6, say. That would help us out. You can sponsor a collection drive and just promote MESA to your doctors, clinics, and hospitals. We just need to get the word out. You can make a financial contribution, or you can support the bike tour that is our primary fundraiser each year. Raises between a third and a half of our annual budget. In 2025, it'll kick off on June 13th. That's a Friday. With a dinner for the riders coming in. The riders actually take off then on Saturday morning, June 14th, and return to Toledo. They take off from Toledo, return to Toledo, and they'll be basically in the northwest quadrant of our district this year. That the tour moves around every year into different quadrants of our district. This year it'll be in the Northwest. This year is the 20th anniversary of our bike tour. It started in 2005 when they went from the Elyria area, I believe, to Chicago for the Rotary International Convention, the 100th anniversary convention of Rotary International. So that was the start of it. So this is our 20th anniversary year. And we'll have stops all around there, including at the Mesa warehouse in Fostoria. There's an indication of the funds raised. This chart only goes up to 2022, but I'll update that in a minute. It shows we raised almost $800,000 from the Mesa bike tour over those years. So in the last couple of years, we raised $48,000 in 2023 and almost $52,000 last year. With that Mesa bike tour. So now we're up to around $900,000 that we've raised through the tour over the years. So where's that money go? Well, shipping is 35 to 50,000, warehouse costs 45 to 55, our payroll's around $40,000. Miscellaneous expenses are 10 to 20, and that can be a whole range of things. We updated our trucks a couple years ago, or over the last couple of years, I should say. We had a 2001 and 2005 truck. One had plus over 250,000 miles on it. One had 363,000 miles on it. Uh, the 2005 was a 26-foot truck and a 16-foot truck. Our 16-foot truck did not have a lift gate on it. I cannot believe that Mesa used that for that many years without a lift gate, and no one died as a result of that. So, but we updated those in May of 2023. We purchased a 2019 16-foot truck, and then in March of last year we purchased a 2021 26-foot truck. Those both have lift gates now on them. So our Scott Salyers, our operations director, was very thrilled about having lift gates on our trucks now. So it's been our fleet was updated an average of 17 years for each of those trucks. So we were pretty happy about that. There's our 16-foot, our new 16-foot truck, newer 16-foot truck. There it is again. Of course, we get those wrapped with our logos and everything. There's our 26-foot one. Handles a lot of stuff. So the ultrasound project, I think I mentioned this. We're trying to purchase. We have a goal since we have a hard time getting our hands on ultrasound units. We found a very mobile ultrasound unit that could fit in a briefcase or a backpack. It's essentially the wand unit that's used if you've ever had an ultrasound used on you. You have this wand and there's a cord, and then that's generally hooked up to a unit that's rolled around on a cart. This unit, the wand and the cord hook up to a smartphone or an iPad, or could be a computer also. But then that allows the person using that to read that image on the iPad or the phone, and then also to transmit that image to a central location where a radiologist could review that ultrasound. So it instead of bringing the people to the ultrasound unit in a central location, you can now send the ultrasound unit to the people. Those units cost about $5,000, just a little bit less than $5,000. There's some cases and cables and things that go with them, and some training. So we hope our goal is $50,000, and we're hoping to buy 10 ultrasound units. So if we get $25,000, if we raise $25,000, we have a Rotarian that is going to match that $25,000 with $25,000 to give us $50,000. We are presently not all of this is quite in-house yet. Most of it is, but with pledges and the checks we've gotten in-house, we are at $21,400. So we are just $3,600 short of that goal. I should have updated that 19,000. We've gotten some more in since then. And we also have an event. We have these quadrant conferences this year in District 6600. The one for the southeast quadrant is going to be a fundraising event for MESA in Marion. They're going to have a Jimmy Buffett tribute band at the theater in Marion. I forget the name of the theater, but it's the big 1,400 seat theater. They're going to have a reception before that. And they're using that as a fundraiser for MESA. We hope that event will push us over the $25,000, and we will. That event is March 28th, by the way. So we hope by the end of this month we will have reached our $25,000. So just some things to remember: you are MESA. Without your help, we really don't exist. You can tell the MESA story and participate and support the Rotary Tour for MESA. and I will attempt to answer any questions you might have.
Gary, didn't you have some experience in Siberia with MESA?
You're thinking of Mongolia.
Mongolia, right.
Mongolia. That was actually a global grant project. That actually came about as a result of some connections from MESA. Back about 15 years ago, we did make a shipment to Mongolia from MESA. And one of the people in the club, I'm thinking she might have been the president of the club at that time in Mongolia, later moved to Hong Kong. We got in touch with her. We got in touch with Mongolians at the International Convention in Seoul, and we got in touch before that with this woman in Hong Kong who put us in touch with the Ulaanbaatar Peace Avenue Rotary Club in Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia. And but that was all a result of that initial shipment with MESA. But the part we did was actually a global grant, so did not involve MESA, but came out of a connection through MESA. So
Very good.
yeah, yeah, Jim.
Uh, I know in the past we've shipped mainly to Central America. I see we haven't shipped anything to like Guatemala or
Right.
any of those. What's going on with that situation?
One of one of my goals, I guess I exceeded my goal. One of my goals when I became the chair like 4.5 years ago, we were primarily shipping to Central America. And one of my goals was to diversify our shipments. I apparently over diversified because now we're not shipping anything to Central America. Um, actually part of that I would have to say was Bob Reel's contacts and actually Uniendo, and with COVID, Uniendo, kind of fell apart, and Bob Reel's health has not been super over those past few years. So we've kind of lost those contacts. Scott Salyers, I mentioned Mel Honing is going to Belize at the end of this month. Scott Salyers is going with him. Scott's going to visit hospitals there. Mel's visiting schools. Scott's going to visit hospitals, and he hopes possibly to get into Guatemala too. He's not sure if we can do that, but so we would try to set up some shipments to Belize. Medical shipments, not the RCI type, but medical shipments, and possibly Guatemala. And then just today, I talked to Ron Stoner and his daughter, who had been in the Dominican Republic, had visited a Rotary Club at, I think I'm getting this right, Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic. And so we're going to set up a Zoom call this week to explore possibly making shipments to the Dominican Republic. MESA has never made any shipments to the Dominican Republic. So that's of course, in the Caribbean more than Central America.
Have we made shipments to Haiti?
Not as far as I know. I don't.
Because Gabby that's on here is one of our members. She lives in Haiti.
Uh-huh.
And
We may have, I don't know. Not during my time, we have not made any shipments to Haiti. But yes, we haven't made any to the Dominican Republic, I don't think ever. So that would be possible. Of course, the Dominican Republic's right next to Haiti. So we might see what comes. We're going to see what comes out of this Zoom meeting this week. We're just kind of in the early stage. Some of these things pan out, and sometimes they don't, and so we'll see whether we get anything from Belize, Guatemala, or the Dominican Republic.
we also have a member in Guatemala, plus all our connections through the
Yeah, that's
our
right.
literacy project that we have all.
Yeah.
Well, Joe, that's in our club, goes to Guatemala regularly, and they're in contact with nearly every Rotary club in
Yeah.
Guatemala. So,
Well, and that's what we just lost those contacts. They were basically through Bob, and he was going down there every year, and they just and then through Uniendo. I mean, I went down there one year for Uniendo, and uh, that kind of fell apart, and then the connections just got lost, in that process. So we need some, and some of those some of those connections we had with Rotarians, those people in Rotary clubs down there that we had connections with may not be active any longer. So we need some
Right.
new current connections. Yeah.
But they've completely stopped Uniendo. It hasn't started.
I'm not sure. They've tried to go by through Zoom for a couple years. Um, I was on it one year when they did the thing through Zoom, and I speak English and only English, and it was supposed to be conducted all in English, but it was about, I think, 75% in Spanish. So most of the time I didn't know
Huh.
what was happening, So and then I know they were trying to get it back up live, and the last time I heard that fell apart. So I don't know really what they're doing now.
Hmm.
So
That was a great program. I know David's gone and Bob's gone, and I've gone to all 7 Central America countries because of Uniendo. And
uh-huh.
it's a tremendous experience for a first time person to have an international
Right.
experience with
Oh,
other
right. Yeah.
Rotarians.
Yeah. And it
And
really, I think it showed me some, they have a lot of, I'll call them vendors for lack of a better word, there. And, in talking to some of the people there, I found out there were some good vendors and some bad vendors, and I mean, some projects that worked and some projects that didn't work. And some of the people that I talked to there had just found that out in the course of doing projects, that they found out certain things worked and certain things didn't work. And, so, yeah, so it was a good project it was a good thing in a number of ways. I think it was very educational for me to see how projects actually work in the kind of the third world.
Well, has anybody else got any questions for Gary? Not hearing or
Out
seeing it.
of curiosity, is it the butterfly ultrasound?
Yes, it is. Yes.
We have one for our lab that I'm still learning how to use.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's exactly. We were quite thrilled when we found that, because, like I said, we had so many people wanting them. The full size units are outside of our cost range. We found these that we could hopefully make work in our cost range, and then the fact that they're very mobile is just a plus if you imagine taking them into the mountains of Mexico or front lines of Ukraine. Actually, portability is a big plus. So yeah, it was great.